Hello, book lovers. I'm Kiki, and welcome back to my little corner on the internet. Do not mind the get up. I just got back from trick-or-treating with my little cousin. She's 7, and I needed to be somewhat Halloweeny, so we're just gonna ignore it. But I thought we would do a quick little October wrap-up. My goodness, I almost forgot which month we had. Yeah, honestly, let's just get into it. I think I'm gonna structure it a little bit like the books that... I'm actually gonna start with the ones that are, that were on my October TBR. Then we move on to the books that I read that weren't on my TBR for the month. And then we're gonna move on to the books that I bought. Because yes, technically I'm on a book buying ban, but the charity event that I had as one of my exceptions is actually going on right now. It started last week Friday and it's going on until Saturday. So I'm probably gonna go again Saturday. Nothing's gonna be open tomorrow because it's a holiday in Germany. So they're not going to be there tomorrow, but they are going to be there on Saturday, and I might get another couple of books. It's just they had a lot of the books that I've been wanting to get, and I paid like 2 or 3 euros each, which is incredible. So I do have a little bit of a haul here as well. But let's start with the books that were on my October TBR. So, one of the books that was on my October TBR was Rivers of London by Ben Aronovich. And I am sorry, but I could not deal with it. I got I don't even know, 30% through or something, and I had to DNF it. I do not know what it was. I think it was the writing. I wasn't vibing with it. Honestly, that was the thing. I wasn't vibing with this book. I was so excited for this book because it seemed to be pretty much what I like. Having a little bit of crime, a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some London in it. And it just it seemed so perfect for me until it wasn't. Which also means that I got to DNF another book in the series, which is The Hanging Tree, because if I don't like the first one, the likelihood that I will like book number 6, very unlikely, because I will also not continue it. It just doesn't make sense. So, got to DNF 2 books, which, honestly, love for me. So, then, I do not have these in any particular order, but I finished Broken Throne by Victoria Aveyard, and I freaking love this. I'm pretty sure I gave it 4.5 stars. And it was just exactly what I needed after War Storm, which technically I finished as well, but wasn't on my TBR. Because I thought I'd finish it in September, but that's another story. But I loved this. The short stories, the little extra bits from Julian, and the little, historical stuff. Honestly, my favorite out of the whole Red Queen series, which feels bad, but I loved getting things from the perspective of other characters, and not just Maven, Cal, or Mare. I know we had Evangeline and Iris in the later books as well, but it was still so centered around our main characters, and for some reason I got annoyed by them. So, loved this. Absolutely amazing. My favorite. Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match by Sally Thorne, which I gave 3 stars. I liked it. I don't know. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of Frankenstein when I read it because it was one of the first classics I read and it was just so difficult for me to get through. But that's okay. I like Sally Thorne's writing. I've read 2 other books, I think, by her. One being The Hating Game, which I absolutely loved. I think that the premise was really fun and I liked the storyline, but it just wasn't anything necessarily special. And I think that's why it's a 3-star and not a 4-star. So, but yes, it was enjoyable. Then I read The Secret Service of Tea and Treason by India Holton, which... Was this on my physical TBR? On my October TBR? If it wasn't, I read it. Doesn't matter. And I gave it 3.75 stars. This was my favorite out of the 3. I don't know. It's just, these are so whimsical, so fun. This could have been a higher star rating if I wouldn't have gotten annoyed with our main character. The naivete was cute in the beginning. It got a little bit annoying towards the middle. And then, you know, she started to be less naive, which I appreciate it. But yeah, I think the premise of all 3 of these books is so much fun. So they're so cute. I honestly recommend them. It's witches. It's pirates. It's magic. It's set in like Victorian England. I don't know, but these are just so much fun. Also, I really like the covers. So 3.75. Then I also actually read Moroda by, it says L.L. McNeil here, L.L. McRae. This was difficult for me to do because I ended up mostly listening to the audiobook version, which is the updated version because I have the older books. And I gave this 3 stars. I think it was an interesting setup to what I think the story is going to be. And the ending definitely makes me want to read the others as well. But I think I am going to get the ebook for books 2 and 3 so I can actually read along and enjoy the story more than I did in this one. I have to admit that I don't remember much from it. So we'll see. There are some things that I remember because I think they're going to be plot points in the upcoming books. But honestly, it's dragons, it's sky pirates, it's mysteries and magic, and like, it's an indie book, right? So I love that I'm reading this, and if you want, I'd say check it out, especially if you like dragons and magic and just a world where things aren't necessarily what they're supposed to be. Dragons are almost gods, and it's interesting. I think the story is going to develop quite nicely, so I will try to read the second one soon-ish, and I think then I will be able to update more because I actually don't remember that much from it. Then I also had my reread of Jack of Thorns, so I could continue with this series, and I love this so much more the second time around. I gave this 4.25 stars. I enjoyed it so much. This is queer. This has trauma. It has pretty sure pagan, like mythology aspects of it, psychic stuff, and just, I think this is a really incredible setup for a series. There are currently 10 books out. I have the first 9, which is sort of the first season, and something that I really appreciate about this book is that at the end of book 1, we actually have one of the mysteries solved. Which is just one of the mysteries, and there are going to be more as well, I am sure. But it is also nice to not have to continue guessing, because we get little crumbs throughout the book, and then at the end it's like, yeah, no, that actually is what it is. And now we can continue into the second book with still a lot, like, unknown, but at least that bit makes more sense now. And I love that. Honestly, A.K. Faulkner did a really nice job with this. I do highly recommend this especially if you're looking for like a queer fantasy sort of thing that's not like necessarily, where are they? They're somewhere there, like mainstream, and you haven't like heard of it necessarily. So also the covers are really cool. They used to have different covers, which were, I think, misleading. These are really nice though. Okay, then I read Troy by Stephen Fry. Not in that order, mind you, but I also read this. And it's a non-fiction technically, so I didn't rate it because I also did not know what to rate it. I mean, I like Stephen Fry. I like Greek mythology. There's really not much to say about this. I bought it for like £2 or £3 or something, and I've read it. I'm gonna stick with the retellings though, because the actual thing, just not my thing. So yeah. Then I did actually read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. And I loved these. They're great. I gave A Good Girl's Guide to Murder 4.25 stars and Good Girl Bad Blood 4 stars. These were so much fun, honestly. Like, I understand why everybody is raving about them. And please, like, they're not 5 stars, because 5 stars for me is a very specific feeling. And I actually just finished my second 5-star read of the year. It will be on there. I will show it to you later. But it's a very, very specific feeling that these unfortunately did not get out of me, but I still enjoyed them so much. Honestly, you will have heard so many people rave about them. I don't need to. Now, the 3 books that I'm currently still reading, 2 of them were on my October TBR. As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson, which is the 3rd in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. I don't even know if I will finish it. So I got 36 pages in and could not do it. I don't know if it is because I read these so close together, and I haven't really been doing that with series because it tends to put me into a little bit of a slump. We don't want that. But I think the biggest problem I am having with it right now is that Pip isn't necessarily herself anymore. Which, if you've read these, makes sense. There's trauma there. Which isn't necessarily a spoiler, because if you even just read the first one, parts of that was already a little traumatic, right? So, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I am going to give it time, and I will try to pick it up again in like 2 weeks. Let's say 2 weeks. And then we will see if I will continue it. I might audiobook it rather than sitting down to read it, because that might be easier to get through it. But we will see. I do want to read it. I do want to know how the storyline ends, right? But I just don't know. Then, I'm also still reading Ascendance of a Bookworm. I knew this would happen. This just takes me so long to read. It doesn't make sense. The writing is huge. I love the storyline. I think the problem is that I know the storyline because I've watched the anime. And I'm still at a point where I'm still in the anime, like where the anime is at. And I keep thinking like, oh my god, that's what it was like in the anime. And oh my god, this is what like the anime did with that. And that's what it looked like. And it was so pretty. And I loved this so much that I don't read per se. I will continue this in November, 100%. I will try to finish this relatively soon. I always tend to pick this up when I'm super tired, but I want to read, and then I just read 1 chapter, and then I am too tired to continue. Will be on my November TBR. Now, we are moving on to the books that were not on my TBR, but I did start Inkheart by Cornelia Funke, but Tintenherz by Cornelia Funke, because it's originally German, and I'm reading it in German. This was so difficult for me to get into. I had technically planned a video where people choose what I read next, but I'm gonna redo that because this took me so long to even just get like 70% through that it's been weeks since I started that video, and my sister chose this for me. And I honestly was thinking about DNFing it. I am not, because I was like, I will give it a couple more chapters. If I still don't like it, that will be then I will DNF it, and I will just not be able to read this series that means so much to so many people. But right after that, it actually ended up getting good and getting to the story. So I have continued with it. I am going to continue it. I wanted to finish this today, but I will not be able to because I'm getting tired. I will continue with it a little more today. If I do end up finishing it, I will put my rating here. I doubt it though. So don't expect it. Now let's get into the books that I also finished. Like I said, I read Broken Throne, but before that I had to finish War Storm by Victoria Aveyard, which is the 4th in the Red Queen Quartet. And please don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. But like I said, I was just annoyed with the characters at this point. I gave it 3 stars. 3 stars, right? Yeah, I gave it 3 stars. I don't know what it was, honestly. I just think that I haven't necessarily read many books similar to this, and these are so big. I understand why the story was as long as it was, because it sort of needed it, but I was just annoyed with it at a certain point, and I wished it would have been shorter. And please don't kill me. I still enjoyed these books, right? But oh my god, I feel like it could have been 1 book shorter. I think. Like, yes, I understand why it took that long, but a little more condensed would have been nice, I think. And I think that's why I liked Broken Throne, because it sort of broke out of that. I read Make Your Bed by William H. McRaven. It's a nonfiction, so I don't rate it. But this was like 10 little things that can sort of change your life. That's what it says. But was basically written by a retired US Navy admiral, and it is about 10 little things that happened to him while in like training and in the Navy and stuff, that were lessons that he thinks are actually sort of relevant for everyday life, for normal life as well. So it was a quick read. It has been on my TBR for so long. I'm so happy that I just finally got it off. I will not really think about this. I am sorry. I read The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, and this was so close to being a 5-star read. I gave it 4.75 stars because, again, it just didn't give me that last little glimmer and thing that it needed to be a true 5-star read for me. But I loved this. I cried, I laughed. I was not surprised, but I loved it. I understand why people have been raving about it, and I'm so glad that I finally read it. And it is basically somebody who is a ghostwriter, and they get a new editor? Is it an editor? Yes, editor. And a story unfolds because something happens, and she has to go back to her hometown, and, well, let's just say she can see ghosts and things develop. I don't know what to say. It is wonderful. Then I read The Fellowship of the Ring. Did I read The Hobbit in September? Apparently. I read The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. Okay, so I gave this 3.5 stars. I love these movies, right? I've binged watched them several times. Why is there more walking in here than there is in the movies? Mind you, I watched the director's cut, like the long one. Why is there more in here? Also, the movies are a lot more gory and violent than the book is, because I'm pretty sure this is like a middle grade thing. I still enjoyed it. 3.5 stars is a good rating. I just think they could, like, he probably could have cut out like a third of it and it would have still been fun and made sense. But yeah, I am so glad I'm finally reading these. These have been on my TBR for a really long time. My physical TBR for a really long time, but my mental TBR for even longer. So yes, very glad I'm finally reading those. I started the School for Good and Evil series, and this was actually so much fun to read. I gave it 4.25 stars, and as I was reading it, I think 2/3 through or something, I put the movie on, and at a certain point it synced. So what I was reading was sort of happening on screen, and that was such a fun reading experience. I think that actually made it so much better. But this is an interesting one, honestly. I did enjoy it. It's based on fairy tales. It's basically just like, not everything you think of as evil turns out to be such, nor is everyone that presents themselves as good necessarily good. And sometimes you need to believe in yourself. And I feel like that is such a fairy tale thing to try to convey, that this book does sort of exactly what it's supposed to do. So yeah, I think this is a fun, like, middle grade to YA series, especially if you like fairy tales. And then I did my rereads of The Wicked King, The Queen of Nothing, and How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black. And as it turns out, I love these more than I loved the first time around. I gave The Wicked King 4.75 stars, The Queen of Nothing 5 stars, and How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories as a 4-star. But I also find like short stories very difficult. This is a 5-star series. I cannot wait to reread The Stolen Heir and finally get to The Prisoner's Throne. Holly Black, you have my heart! Oh my goodness! I just forgot a DNF. I just realized that. So, yes, Holly Black has my heart. So, I had The 15th Affair on my physical TBR. I listened to the audiobook of First to Die by James Patterson. I gave it 2 stars. I should have DNF'd it. I wanted to give it a chance. I started the second, which is called Second Chance, and I didn't even make it to the 2nd chapter. So I DNF'd the 15th chance, because that's the one, the 15th Affair, my bad, because that's what was on my physical TBR. I'm not doing that to myself. I am not reading books that I am not enjoying. There's no point. Okay, now the 5-star read that I just finished. I know that this is a very hit or miss book with a lot of people, and I understand why. But it did give me that fuzzy, happy feeling to the point that I broke my book buying ban and went out to buy the 2nd book today, as I was at the charity event thing as well. It's Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer, and I have loved Evie and the villain for such a long time because I watched a little series on TikTok for a while. And then she announced that she was writing the book, and then I sort of stopped going on TikTok for a while, and then I couldn't catch up. So I haven't actually seen like newer stuff, but this was exactly what I sort of hoped it would be, and it gave me so much joy to like learn more about Evie and the villain and everybody else. And for some reason I did not see that plot twist happening, which is so stupid because I should have seen it coming, but I was so entranced by Evie and like everything that I just didn't see anything like that would happen. If you did not love this, it's fair. This is not necessarily the most masterfully crafted story ever, but it just gave me that feeling, and so it is a 5-star. I cannot betray the 5-star feeling if it is the feeling. So that was the last book I think that I read. I hope actually, let me check if that was all that I read. It was. I read 18 books, DNF'd 3, and currently have 3 on my currently reading list. So that's not too bad. Now let's get into the books that I bought, because why not? First is the book that is not going on my physical TBR because I bought it because I saw it and it was secondhand, and it is stunning. And it is Harry Potter: A History of Magic, which is like a British library thing that happened, I think, for the 20th anniversary. And it's just, yeah. I don't know if I'm ever gonna properly sit down to read it, so it's not going on my physical TBR. that's actually something that I'm going to go do at like in December, at the end of December. I'm gonna go and look through my books and see which ones am I actually that are on my TBR am I actually going to sit down to read, and which ones are just there to be pretty. This one is just there to be pretty, so it is not going on my physical TBR, but I did buy it. Just look at this phoenix. Oh, yeah. So, also the fact that I paid like $2.50 for it when it costs like 40 bucks. Damn. Then I bought a lot of books in German. I'm gonna show the 2 books that I bought in English because I feel like that makes sense. Like, show them first. I got Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley. I've been thinking about this book for a while. I've always sort of wanted to get it, and then I didn't. I prioritized other books, but I finally got it. I'm excited to read it. And then I also found The American Roommate Experience by Elena Armas, and I haven't read The Spanish Love Deception yet, right? But I was like, I can't pass this up. Where in the heck am I ever gonna get the book this cheaply again? And I'm a sucker for a good deal, right? If I don't have to pay much for books, I will be so happy because I buy too many of them. This is also still in pristine condition. It almost looks unread, so what can I say? Right, I did get 2 non-charity books today, so I'm just gonna show them. Like I said, I got Apprentice to the Villain because I feel like I want to read this tomorrow, so I might. And I got Make the Season Bright by Ashley Herron Blake. I have been seeing this book in the store for a couple of weeks now, I think. And I just now realized that this is the author of Where Are They? The Delilah Green Doesn't Care trilogy. And I love this. And this is a Christmas book. And I'm so excited. So I bought it because online it was cheaper and the price match. So I will be reading this first thing in December, which is why I said that it was okay for me to buy it, because it will be read in literally a couple weeks. Okay, my camera is about to die, so I'm gonna try to do this quickly. But I got this trilogy by Ursula Poznansky, which honestly, my bad. I don't even know what they're about, right? I also got Elanus by Ursula Poznansky. Don't ask me how to pronounce this. I think it's some Latin stuff. So, that by Ursula Poznansky, and the first, Erebos. So I literally got 6 Ursula Poznansky books. Mind you, all of these have been on my mental TBR for a while, because I have read 1 book that I loved, 1 book that I found okay. I have a 3rd one on my TBR that somebody else liked a lot, and now I have more. But some of these were also well loved by others, so I'm excited. Then I got Die Fabelmacht-Chroniken by, good question, Katrin Lange. Do not ask me what these are about. They looked pretty. First I only saw the 2nd one. A couple of days later, they had the 1st one as well. So of course I was gonna get them. It's a duology. If you can get both in a hardcover for like 2 or 3 euros, you do that with German books. They would be like 18 each. Otherwise, I'm not paying that. I'm sorry. Especially if I'm not sure if I will love a book. But that way I can also get to know new German authors, and that makes me so happy. On that note, the last book that I got is Die Tyrannei des Schmetterlings by Frank Schätzing, which is a book that I have been thinking of getting since it was published. And I never managed it because I couldn't justify spending the money for an author that I wasn't sure I would like. And this didn't even hit the table. They were putting out more books, and I was like, I will take that, thank you. I've been thinking of reading this for years now. When did it come out? Actually, let me check. 2018. I have been going back and forth with this book for 6 years. It was a sign from the universe to get it. Okay, I am going to quickly figure out how many books I now have on my physical TBR and whatnot, and then I will get back to you. Okay, so I have definitely done myself a disservice with this bigger haul, but honestly, that's okay. I did it. I had to. So, I am currently reading 3 books. And I have 289 on my physical TBR, which means that technically I have 292 books on my physical TBR, which is very sad because I feel like I started it lower than that in October. But it's okay. I will be reading these, I hope relatively soon, otherwise that would have been a bit of a waste. But that's okay. You know, we gotta do it for the plot. No, but honestly, these 2 I know I will be reading this year. And also, I have a few things planned, which will probably lead to me just DNFing a couple of books, which just makes things so much easier anyway. I definitely need to get a bit better at DNFing because I have not been doing great at that. But hey, I DNF'd 3 books this month. That's a new record anyway. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider giving it a thumbs up and maybe subscribing. I hope you've seen some books in this that you know. If so, please let me know. Especially with As Good as Dead, I need to know if it's worth continuing. And also, please let me know if you like this, if you've read it, because I've seen so many divided opinions on this. And I need to know, please. I've seen some people saying like, this was meh, but they enjoyed this. So I need to know, right? Also, there's gonna be a 4th one. I'm so excited, but no. Please let me know if you've read any of these, what you think about them, or yeah, honestly, any of these. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye!